Good morning. It is March 7th, 2024. This is episode 99. Oh my gosh. I am one episode away from 100 episodes of the Paul Comedy Podcast. I am going to go ahead and call this one a travel mode, although I actually am at home, but I am exhausted and a little sick from my trip to DC. Got a little bit of a head scratchy cold thing happening. So I'm going to just stay off the camera for tonight. But I had some fun things happen yesterday that I want to update you as I continue to talk about going for your dreams in this life, as I bring you on a day-by-day update on my journey towards world domination as a comedian and actor. So I had mentioned yesterday that I had a fun idea, at least fun for me, for a social media idea. And I went ahead and executed that today. And man, I had so much fun making this video. You can go to my TikTok or my YouTube. I already posted my first episode. I pretty much just really just stole or parodied an old SNL bit that I used to love. It's the old Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. So I'm pretty much parodying that idea and just kind of doing my own derivative of it. And I had a lot of fun. I put a lot of effort into getting it exactly how I wanted it to look. I had actually filmed the first version, and before posting it, I sent it over to a good friend of mine who's been very successful on social media, just so she would take a look at it and give me any feedback. And she did. She messaged me back and made a couple recommendations on how I could tweak it. And so I did a couple of things. I actually went and bought some clothes because she recommended that I should dress more the part of what I was doing, which I just thought was very smart and a really good idea. So I actually went to Goodwill and purchased some clothes that are kind of cheesy and kind of out there for this idea. I also went to a camera store and I bought a shotgun mic, and I did that specifically because I didn't like how the audio sounded on the first take that I did. And the reason that happened was because I was actually trying to record audio using my podcast microphone, which is not ideal for recording because I was actually recording a physical video. And so having a podcast mic, which requires me to be about 4 to 6 inches at max away from the microphone, just made it hard because I didn't want the microphone in the shot. And what I really needed was a shotgun mic. And I used to own a shotgun mic, but I actually gave it away a couple years ago when I moved back to Arizona. And so I don't have a shotgun mic. And I was like, I've been doing, self-tape auditions and stuff, and I'm never really satisfied with the audio, and having good audio is so important. So I figured, this is a good time to go get another shotgun mic. So I went to this camera store and I bought this shotgun mic, and it is awesome. So I refilmed the video with the shotgun mic, the new outfit, and edited it all together. And, it's hard for a comedian. I know a lot of comedians say this, to actually find yourself funny. It's like a lot of comedians can't watch their own stand-up comedy sets. And I definitely get that, and I feel that. But I was so happy with how this video turned out, and it kept cracking me up. And I figured, whether or not this actually goes viral or leads to anything, who cares? I had so much fun filming this little parody of one of my favorite SNL bits of all time. And I think I'm going to film a handful of them. I'm going to try, 4 or 5 of them, see how they go. And yeah, I'm also going to try a couple different approaches to it as well, to see if I can find an approach that gets a little bit more traction online than another way. And that's always the game, is to try something, see if it gets any traction. And if it doesn't, hypothesize, pivot, try something else. And that is the name of the game that I am in right now. So did all of that yesterday, which was, again, really fun. And then another thing that is going on right now, which has just popped up, is I have a buddy who has a lead on a potential apartment for rent in Los Angeles that would be affordable and could potentially be like a month-to-month thing. And I got to be honest, I was not intending on moving back to LA. However, this opportunity just seems like it would be a good idea to take advantage of it, especially if it is not, like a long-term lease situation to where I could just, maybe head out to LA for 3 or 4 months, sort of reestablish some connections over there, and just see what it feels like to go back out there. If you're just joining me, you don't know my whole history, but I moved to LA from 2015 until 2022. In 2022, I'd gotten a relationship with a lady who lived back in Phoenix, and so I had moved back home to pursue that relationship. That relationship ended up not working out, and so I had stayed in Phoenix. And the big question that I was always asked was, well, are you going to go back to LA? And I had not felt inclined to do so. I was getting a lot of really great opportunities here in Phoenix. I got an agent in Phoenix, and so I still had my agent in LA and in Phoenix. All my family's here. My living situation was great. Arizona's just a much easier state to live in than California, especially in Los Angeles. It's just cheaper, it's nicer, it's cleaner, there's more parking. It's I just really love Phoenix, but, there is no doubt that there are certain opportunities that could potentially be available to me in Los Angeles that maybe are not here in Phoenix. So, but I wasn't sure of that. So, but that has just sort of popped up. And so I am starting now to just look at that and wrap my head around that and just see, would that be a good idea for me to go, hop back into LA at least for a couple or 3 months, especially if I can get this place and get it on a month to month and it's very affordable and, and I could still pop back into Phoenix for all of my Phoenix opportunities. It's almost like I would almost have 2 residencies. I'd have a place in Phoenix and I'd have a place in LA, and I could just, a lot easier for me to straddle the 2 locations there and head out to LA and be in LA for 4 or 5 days, pop back into Arizona, when I have gigs or opportunities here. So that is the game that I am looking at potentially playing here. It would be really nice. A couple things that I miss in LA that are not available in Phoenix is all of the open mics. There are just so many open mics in Los Angeles, and I've really missed being able to get those reps in. And so I've been writing a lot of new material, and so it would be really good to be in LA for, 5 or 6 days in a row and, pop out, 10 or 15 open mics to just get more repetitions on a lot of this new material and really start to dial some of it in. The other thing that I miss is all of the non-union acting work. I did probably a good 30 student films when I first moved out to LA, and I got a ton of clips and a ton of footage. I think I'm a much better actor now, and I would love to, go and start auditioning for a lot of those indie projects and see if I could get some more updated reels and potentially try to attract a theatrical agent again in California. So just a couple of things like that are starting to make it feel like, yeah, if I can have an opportunity to do that, that might be a good option for me. But, I'm really trying to more and more start to trust my intuition on things. And so, if I do it, it's not going to be because it's a logical decision. It's going to be because I really feel a strong energy behind it. And I just feel like, yes, the opportunity that I am seeking or whatever it is that I am going for, that I need to be in LA and, more frequently than I need to be in Phoenix. And like I said, since moving back here, I have not felt that inclination. I have not felt that I need to be in LA, at least not for the time being. But who knows? Maybe that'll change. So I'm going to investigate this opportunity a little further. I'm going to go check out the apartment potentially this weekend, because this weekend I have another gig down in San Diego, which I am... when I say I'm excited about it, I'm always excited about a gig, but I also have some trepidation because it's a very unique community, and it's a pretty tough situation that has brought them together. So they are a community of people who have had loved ones who have unalived themselves. And oh man, that's heavy. That is heavy, and that is really dark and very tragic. And, I have a whole bit in my act about how I called the suicide hotline, which is a true story. When I got out of that relationship a couple years ago, and I was just, in a really bad place, and I do all these jokes about it, and, now I'm like, I definitely am not going to do that bit for sure, because I obviously don't think that would be appropriate. But now I'm also really like second guessing, like all of my material, and does like any of my material, is that going to be triggering for this unique group of individuals who have a common tragedy among them, and I mean, it's one thing when, when you're just in a crowd of people and, it's just at a club or it's just a comedy show of people, you can't really always be worried about, saying the wrong thing, because if that was the case, you would just never talk about anything of substance. It's like, I'm sure I've done this suicide hotline bit in front of people who have had loved ones, who have unfortunately taken that step, and, I don't worry about it in that situation, because again, you can only filter yourself so much before it's like, you're not really being true to yourself. But in a situation like this, where it's like, no, this is the whole community, this is like what has brought them together, then, as a performer, it actually is somewhat your obligation and your responsibility as a performer and as an entertainer to take that into consideration and go, okay, because of this specific situation, there probably is some material that I should avoid, and just not bring up and just do other stuff, and I have plenty of material, so I'm not worried about that, but I am more just worried about, like how much of my material may be triggering to that particular group, even if I'm not directly talking about, that particular subject matter. But I'm sure it'll be fine. That's what we do as performers and comedians is overthink and overanalyze. And, at the end of the day, I just want to do a really good job for them. I want them to have a great time and to laugh and to have a good experience. And I just want to make sure that I'm showing up prepared to entertain and to do material that will have the highest probability of being funny without triggering anybody. And so I will be thinking about that this weekend. And then again, the idea is that perhaps I can head out to LA and take a look at this potential place and just see how it feels. And, if I feel like, hey, this be a good situation, then I'll jump on it. And if it doesn't, then I won't. I don't want to do it just because it's available and it's a good deal. It would really have to be like, oh yeah, this is an opportunity that has presented itself because it is in alignment with my bigger goals and my bigger dreams. And so, those are the fun decisions you get to make when you're out there pursuing your dreams is, what does it look like and what do certain things mean and what decisions do you make and when do you follow your gut and your intuition? When do you follow, your logic and your more rational mind? Because I'll tell you, the one thing about going for dreams is there is not one rational thing about it. It's, you're always, at least I am always in some sort of state of just pure insanity that I would even be going for this in the first place. And so to just turn around and be like, oh yeah, well, I'm trying to be a successful, comedian and actor, that's my dream. I'm already in insanity land. And so then be like, oh, but while in insanity land, I'm going to make a very logical, practical decision, regarding where I'm going to, what apartment I'm going to be living in, or if I'm going to be in LA or Phoenix or whatever, It's just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. But, that's the joy, that's the excitement of going for dreams is trying to navigate the delusion and the insanity of it all with the practical execution and trying to, keep the bills paid and, keep the lights on and, keep food on the table while there is no real foreseeable financial benefit to, pursuing a dream. It almost seems by nature that is how it goes. It's like if you want to start a business, you're probably not going to make money for a long time. If you want to be a stand-up comedian, you're probably not going to make money for a long time. If you want to be a musician, you're probably not going to make money for a long time. And when you do, it's probably not going to be very much. And, if you're going to write a book, you're going to invest tens of thousands of hours in writing a book. And there's a high probability you're never going to see any money from that book, And that's just the journey. That's what we're signing up for. The flip side of that is pursuing that dream is going to bring experiences and opportunities and a potential windfall of financial investment, hopefully, or financial income, on the other end, if something really breaks in a good way. Like, you get that big break, you get that big book deal, you get, if you're an actor, you book the big role. If you're a comedian, you get, a big break online or on television that gives you a lot of exposure. And then all of a sudden, you can tour. And, if you're starting a business, you struggle, but then all of a sudden you hit this stride and you get your product dialed in, you get your marketing dialed in, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're getting a big influx of, customers and opportunities and income. And it's like, oh my gosh. And the reality is you're never going to get that opportunity if you don't step in and give it a shot and give the dream a legitimate shot and really go for it and give it a try. So that is the journey. And so anyway, that is what's going through my mind at this stage as I am starting to get more performance opportunities, starting to have more fun trying to experiment with social media and where I can potentially find a niche in the social media market to start potentially getting followers that way. And then perhaps starting to gravitate towards LA again and just see if that feels like it's the right decision intuitively for me to take advantage of that. So that's what I got for you today on March 7th, 2024, episode 99 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. I love you all so much. Thank you for listening. I hope your dreams are going well, and I will check in with you all tomorrow.